Well, hello, I'm Brian Stallard, and I'm here today for AAMI News and Conversation, and I'm at the Rad AI booth with Dr. Jeff Chang. Jeff, it's really nice to meet you. We talked a little bit to Jeff already, and we were learning about Rad AI's work in the radiology space. And before we dive into any of that, I want to start out with, okay, what are the challenges that radiologists are facing right now in the workplace, and how can Rad AI help?
Sure. Yeah, the biggest issue, which Mini has already pointed out as well, for the last 4 years running, has been radiologist burnout. There's far too many studies being done compared to the number of radiologists that are available to read those studies. Right now, the estimate is about 11,000 shortage of radiologists in the market.
Okay.
So there's just, the volume continues to rise, and radiologists get more and more burnt out. So any solution that helps improve efficiency for radiologists, reduce the time required to dictate studies, improve fatigue and burnout over the course of the day is a really helpful product. So having technology that helps radiologists just become more efficient, become more productive, but also reduce the daily manual work that they do is really helpful. And so that's what we've focused on with Rad AI. So our first product automatically generates the impression of the radiology report, customized to the radiologist's language, because we pre-train on all their historical reports so that we can get their exact language and style. And so that way we save on average about an hour per 9-hour shift for a radiologist, and we reduce the number of words that they have to say every day by about a third. And so that really reduces fatigue and burnout. It reduces cognitive burden, and just kind of makes them feel like they have a bit of a break during the day.
Got you. So for clarity for anyone who's not here at HIMSS 2023, we've been hearing a lot about generative AI while we're here. I mean, the big one, ChatGPT-4, but here, this is also generative AI. Okay. And if I'm a radiologist, I'm going to be taking a look at the data and I'm going to be saying, okay, I have several notes. I'm going to just say them out loud. And then this starts to generate a report based on that the radiologists can then bring that human element back in to finish it up.
Yeah. So the radiologist dictates all the things that they see. So it's not interpreting the images at all. So essentially, once they finish dictating all the things that they see, Rad AI just generates the conclusions, the summarization, follow-up recommendations. So it makes sure to, it just saves that part of the time where they have to synthesize their thoughts and then dictate further based on the things that they've already said, right? And so that saves them that amount of time and reduces the amount of mental fatigue from having to kind of redictate the same things over and over again.
So I'll tell you a little bit about AAMI, which is, we're a standards developer, and quite recently we rolled out a consensus report and now a technical information report that are all covering artificial intelligence and basically risk mitigation, ways to make sure that great ideas like this aren't going to come up with unusual problems. One of the things we've learned and heard about a lot is AI fails in weird ways. Yeah. So data quality is a big thing. Why don't you tell us about your database? What makes it good quality?
Sure. We do a lot of work in data cleanup. So we spend most of our time in getting ready for launching to a new customer in cleaning the data first. And then we train the models using each radiologist's historical reports. And so we have by far the largest data set of historical reports for radiology groups from across the country that are usable for new model training. At this point, over 250 million reports, and going to about 350 million by the end of this quarter. So that really helps us both ensure the clinical accuracy of the results, but then also customize to each individual radiologist's language and style. And then over time, we continue to get feedback and also edits that the radiologists make, which then give us the additional data to then refine the results even further. So over time, in the last 4 or 5 years, we've built an additional 300 plus models and algorithms that run in post-processing to help ensure the accuracy of the results after they're generated by the main models.
I think this is one of the things that a lot of innovators are really excited about with machine learning. It can improve itself over time, become more accurate. All right, so you mentioned one product, which is this generation report. Why don't you tell me a little about the other solutions?
Sure. Rad AI Continuity helps with patient follow-up. So when there's follow-up exams that need to be done for each patient based on things that are seen on the radiology report, so we call incidental findings, so pulmonary nodules, liver lesions, thyroid nodules, things that could potentially turn out to be cancer or aneurysms that could rupture, it makes sure that the patients come back. So generally we see, based on multiple studies, that patient follow-up rates are really only generally in about 20 to 30% range across the US. So when a radiologist recommends a follow-up, often the patient doesn't come back at all. And so continuity automatically detects what the follow-up should be, what the time frame for follow-up should be, and then automates the communication to both the provider and the patient, which can all be customized, and then helps with, so automatically tracks when the study is ordered and scheduled and completed to make sure that we close the loop on patient follow-up.
I got you. Something that I hear a lot is this idea of, I'm so close to declaring email bankruptcy. So it sounds like this will help avoid that, which is another aspect of burnout. Okay. Now I want to talk about the future, because obviously this is an exciting first steps. Are there any other applications for AI to radiology where, you think it might be helpful?
Sure. I mean, over time, the AI will continue to provide more value to radiologists, right? The products have to be designed the right way. So if they're purely adding a bit of accuracy to a radiologist for a small subset of studies, that won't be enough to explain why it should be implemented, all the costs of implementation and support and so on. So in order for it to be implemented, it has to be really ambient, right? It has to be seamlessly embedded into the existing radiology workflow, so there's nothing new for the radiologist to learn. And then it has to be applying to as many studies as possible. So the entire range of studies, ideally, similarly to how AAMI applies to the whole range of studies. That way, it can save them a most amount of time for a radiologist without being obtrusive, right?
Yeah. Now, Jeff, I wanted to ask you actually a little bit about yourself, because you're the co-founder of this, and what got you into this? What made you say, oh, AI is the solution to the challenges that I'm personally facing?
Sure. So my background is actually a bit unusual. I started really young. Went to college at 13, med school at 16. Became the second youngest radiologist on record in the U.S. And so did fellowship in musculoskeletal MRI, so joint MRI, and then practiced mostly overnight ED radiology for 10 years. And so doing a lot of busy overnight shifts, over 1,200 overnight shifts, realized how much technology could hopefully benefit us if we were to apply AI or other solutions to be able to streamline our workflow, be able to automate some of the kind of manual tasks that we do over and over again. So I went back and did some graduate work in machine learning at the University of Edinburgh, and started Rad AI in 2018 with my co-founder, Doctor.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that you wanted to tell innovators or even fellow radiologists? Hey, keep an eye on this, keep an eye on that. Is there anything you want to say to that?
AI will continue to advance very rapidly over time. The actual commercial applications in healthcare are a bit tricky because you do need to ensure clinical accuracy, and it needs to fit into the existing workflow. It needs to actually benefit radiologists or other healthcare providers in significant ways that actually make sense for adoption. Implementation takes longer and, of course, requires a lot more key stakeholders to be bought in. But just keep an eye out for different products that could be useful over time, right? Something that may be too early right now could become useful in another year or 2 years. So if you just keep a watch out for something that seems like it could actually add benefit, ROI to your practice or to your health system, then that's really key. So just keep a watch out for new ideas, new products.
Well, thank you. This has been really great. I want to wrap this up, but I wanted to close with a subject that I'm sure you've been hearing a lot about too, which is trust. So how do we get radiologists to trust this kind of work? To trust AI is basically co-piloting their job.
So, essentially, we've talked about this a lot in radiology. You really want AI that augments the radiologist, right? That helps the radiologist, that streamlines the workflow, makes it less busy for them, and they can see that from when it's actually deployed, right? So, if you deploy a product and it actually does seem to be saving you time, it does reduce your fatigue and burnout, and that's the kind of feedback that we tend to get. Then that is the test is in the eating of the cookie, right? So you just need to test and see whether this is actually useful, or if you haven't rolled it out yet, to see testimonials and feedback from other radiologists and radiology groups from around the country, right? Seeing whether this has been useful for them, whether it's saved them time, whether it's reduced their radiologist fatigue and burnout, is really key.
I feel like that goes back full circle back to your advice. Get involved, understand about this technology, and then see what's right for you. Jeff, this has been great. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right,
thanks.
Okay.